Hi Superstars, thanks so much for spending this time with me today. I'm Debbie Starr, the writer of In the Waiting, which is found at debbiestarr.com. It's where I share my story of going from doing movie marathons to running 4 half marathons in 1 year's time. And today, Superstars, I'm sharing with you my running training schedule. Now, before we get started, I want to give this disclaimer out here that I am not a doctor. I'm not a sports medicine doctor. I am just a mom who found herself overweight and in an unhealthy lifestyle and fed up and fell in love with running. And it went from doing 5Ks to then God challenging me to run my first half marathon, which you can read all about that in more details of at debbiestarr.com on my About Me page. And then also one of my blog posts of my first half marathons. And in both of those, I give more in-depth details about all that. So today I'm sharing with you my running training schedule, and here's how it came about. If you've heard me say over and over again, I always say, if you want to know something, do the research. So that's basically what I did. It was I went online and I did some research of all the different running training schedules for half marathon runners. However, all of them that I came across were for like about 8 to 10 weeks. And I wanted to allow myself longer because I really was not confident that I was even going to be able to pull this off, even though thank God he's changed all that fears in me now. Since I've ran over 7 of them now. But it was at the time, I wanted to allow myself plenty of time, more than enough time, so that way I knew without a doubt that I was confident and I was strong enough and I was able to go do this race. I also only had 3 days a week available for running because my baby girl at the time was in school, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so those were my obligated running days. I didn't have any other time because especially when you start getting into running 6 or more miles in your double digits, you're gone for hours running. And so you really have to have that block of time to be able to put in to doing the training. And I only had it available 3 days a week. A lot of the schedules I saw online was 4 and 5 days a week. So for me, this is the running schedule that I did, and I'll explain to you a little bit of why I did it. So mine is 12 week. The 12th week lands on the week of running the race. For me, I had Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays as my main running days. I did my long runs on Mondays, and there's a few reasons why I did that also. One, it's done and over with for the week. I couldn't talk myself out of it. I already got the long run done and over with, and then I knew Wednesday and Friday be easy and breezy because I just ran a super long run on Monday. 2, also, if something was to happen, kids get sick or something goes on, I would be able to make that run up on Wednesday or on Friday. So again, it was a backup because life happens. You know, kids get sick, you get calls from people or something goes on and you end up having to make up that time. And so having my long runs on Mondays, that really helps to get it done and over with. And if something does come up, I can make it up on Wednesday or on Friday. And then thirdly is because my husband and I have shared a date night on Monday nights for years. And so we like to go out and have yummy foods and eat ice cream or whatever. And so I wanted to be able to go out and still enjoy that time with my husband. So if we went out for ice cream, I didn't feel bad or guilty with my food because I just ran, double digits earlier in the day. So for me, that's why my long runs always land on Mondays. However, you adapt the schedule to what works best for you. The most important is for you to find what works and then for you to be able to actually do it. So my long runs land on Mondays, and then Wednesdays and Fridays end up being other runs. And so my long run for Mondays, the first week is I start with 4 miles. And so for 4 miles is my long run on the first week. And then my midweek run would end up being a 5K. Now, I should also say too, I went from training and running 5Ks regularly. I had ran 5Ks off and on for at least over a year, and then was encouraged and inspired by God to run my first half marathon. So if you have not been running 5Ks and running 3 miles is not a norm for you, then back up, slow down, go and start by doing like a run walk routine, get yourself built up to a mile. And then when you got a mile, go 1.5 miles, then to 2, then 2.5, then you got your 5K, go run a race. Get a t-shirt, okay? And then once you get to that point, I want you to, then you can start adapting this and get into the mode because I was already there. I was already there running 5Ks. So my Wednesday run then for the first week would be a 5K, and then Friday also a 5K. And right now, which is amazing that I can even say that, but my short runs nowadays are a 5K minimum, 3.1 miles. Now, some days if, I get a call from the school or something like that interrupts it, but majority of the time, all of my short runs are at least a 5K, which is so super cool to be able to say that. And Superstars, you get running in the pavement and you're going to be able to say that someday too. So second week, I would bump it up and I would go to 5 miles. And then my midweek run would be 4 miles and then 5K on Friday. And then for week 3, I would go to 6 miles, 4 miles on Wednesday and 5K on Friday. Do you see the pattern here? Every week on Mondays, I would add a mile to what I was doing. And then my midweek would be 4 miles, 5K on Friday. So I would do that for weeks 4 would go to 7 miles, and then 4 miles on Wednesday, 5K on Friday. And then on week 5 and 6, I would go to 8 miles on my Monday, and then Wednesday would be 4 miles, and then Friday's a 5K. Now, the reason why I did 2 weeks back to back with that 8 miles is because I'm telling you, when you get to running and doing these big races, it's mostly mental, folks. Superstars, you gotta train your brain. You gotta renew your mind daily, right? But you really gotta go in there and know, for me, it helps knowing I've already done it. And I've done it, I can do it, it gives me the confidence to keep going. But when you're in the race, it's like you're halfway in that midway point between miles 8 and 9, and you're super tired and exhausted, you're like, I'm only halfway, I've got so much more to go. So for me, to do a couple weeks of that back-to-back really helps to strengthen me up to then be able to go forward. And it's also a tough part in the race. So for weeks 5 and 6 would be the 8 mile. And then also on week 6, you have that built in to where if you wanted to, you could do a 5K race that week. And of course, most races are on a Saturday or Sunday, except for Labor Day races, sometimes on Mondays. Excuse me, but most of the time it would be on the weekend. But then you would just take Monday off as a recoup day and then go back to whatever schedule you're doing for the rest of the week. So then down to week 7, I would do 9 miles and then bump to 5 miles for my midweek run. And then on Fridays would be my 5K. And then I would do the same thing for weeks 8 and 9. I would go to 10 and I would do double digits again. Weeks 8 and 9 would both be 10 miles on Mondays. Or you could bump in and do a 10K run for that week, for the week 9. And again, the reason why I did the 10, a double week like that, is because again, when you're in the race, you're like, okay, I just made 10, I'm at double digits, but I still got a 5K left to go. And when you're tired and exhausted, again, it's just that mental thing. And if you are strong in that and have done that and have trained that back to back, you know, okay, I've done this, it's great, I'm going on, I'm gonna be at 11 before I know it, okay? So then in weeks 10, I would go to 11 on Mondays, midweek would be 5, and then 5K on Friday. For week 11, it would be 12. Now for me, I decided, again, wanting to be confident, I decided to train and do 12 and a half miles for my first half marathon that I was training for, because I wanted to be in the race and know, okay, if I was tired and exhausted and wanted to give up, I could say, I've done 12 and a half miles before, I only have half a mile left to go. You know, because it's so easy that, again, towards the end of the race, you're tired and exhausted, and most of the time you're hot. The temperature has rise by that time at the end of the race, and it's so easy you want to give up or walk or whatever, but if you have that in your mind, you've already prepared, this is what works for me, to know, no, I've already done 12 and a half miles. So now, since I've done a few half marathons and I have that confidence and I know it's just another mile, it's just another mile. But for starting out, I did train up to 12 and a half miles for my last long run before my races, just so I would have that confidence boost if I ever needed to dig deep and get that while I was in my race. And so in weeks 11, when you would do that 12 or 12 and a half, whatever you decide, then my midweek run would be a 5K, 3.1 miles. And then the Friday run would really depend upon my travel. So if I was home, I would do 2 miles. But of course, when I'm traveling out of state, sometimes I can't do that because I'm in the car driving all day. Or I would get together with friends and we would go run a couple miles or a few miles on Saturdays before our races. So it really all depends. That last race too, or that last run, if you don't get it in, it's just a couple miles and it's taper week anyways. You're getting ready to run 13.1 miles. Give yourself a break. It's not the end of the world if you don't get that Friday run in. So anyway, superstars, then you're trained up and ready to run your half marathon of 13.1 miles. And then for me, after I run, I come home, I do a week of rest, of like recuperating, and then I get back on it again. And for me, I like to always run at least double digits every month. Me being able to do that is what helped me to where I was able to run 3 half marathons back to back to back. That as soon as I wanted to always stay trained up. I didn't want to lose and go backwards of what I got myself endurance and built up to. So for me to always run a double digits run, at least on a Monday, once a month, helps me to know that if I ever decide, oh, there's a race next month or next week or a couple weeks and I want to do it, I can do it because I'm like, well, it's only another 3 miles. Which again, superstars, I know it sounds crazy, but it's crazy with a purpose. So it's awesome that I can say it's just 3 miles. And eventually, superstars, if you keep running, you will totally get there too. So I hope that this training schedule encouraged you. I hope you can tweak it, get it to where it's in your schedule and your routine, that you can become your norm. And superstars, if you like this video, give it a like, share it with all those other people that you know that are maybe getting ready to run their first weight race or thinking about it. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get to see all the videos about my races and all the things that I do all along, and all the encouraging tidbits that I want to share with all you superstars. And superstars, my prayer always for you is that you will be patient and make healthy choices while you are in the waiting.